What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of 90 Day Fiance Season 11, Episode 12, Blinded by Love. Let's talk about Matt, Amany, or Ameny is what they call her. Matt, Ameny, and Anie. My first question before we get deep down into it is, what are these people doing on 90 Day Fiance? They should be on 90 Day Fiance before the 90 days, because I thought 90 Day Fiance was strictly about the people who have been approved for their visa. The person who lives outside the United States has arrived in the United States, and now they have 90 days to get married. Matt, Ameny, and Anie have not even started the process. Matt and Ameny haven't even filed for divorce in order for Matt to marry Anie. They are in the beginning stage. This mango is so unripe. It is green and hard, and there's no juices flowing. So I don't know what they're doing on this show, which just makes me think that they're just here for dramatic effect. They're paid actors. I don't know if we're ever going to see these people again. They're probably going to find some way to finagle themselves back into our television screen after this season is over. But I just don't know what they're doing here. This is not the show for them. They should be on 90 Day Fiance before the 90 days. But anyway, here we are. So Amany still believes that, she's still very delusional. She still believes what Anie told her, that, Anie loves her more than she loves Matt. I don't buy that. I don't think so. I think Anie has more of an attraction towards Matt than she does towards Amany. But we've talked about that. She probably just told Amany that just to calm her down, just to make her feel a little bit more secure, because Amany was showing all kinds of insecurities in this throuple. So to help them get closer together, Ameny arranges a date between Matt and Anie. And in the beginning, they're going to act like they're really awkward around each other. These people have already had sex. Matt and Anie have already had sex. They had sex when Ameny was passed out sick in the hotel room. I think it was her very first night in Mexico. And this is what got Ameny feeling very insecure, because she feels like they should have asked her permission to be intimate before they actually did it. And so this is what caused a lot of our insecurities. So this date that they're on, I'm not understanding why Matt and Anie are acting like, two high schoolers going out for the very first time at the soda shop. They've gotten down and dirty already. There's an attraction between them already. So this whole scene to me was very ridiculous. So Anie tells Matt that, the reason why I have more feelings towards Ameny is because she shows me more feelings and she spends more time with me. I don't know what the hell Anie is talking about, because the whole time that they've been in Mexico, they've all been together except for the part where Anie and Matt had sex when Ameny was sick and sleeping. They've always been together. Maybe she's talking about before they came to Mexico. Maybe it was Ameny that was doing a lot of the communication between her and Matt and Anie. It was Ameny that was doing the phone calls and the texting and checking up on her. Maybe that's what she meant. So she tells Matt that, yeah, your wife Ameny, she shows me more attention, and that's why I feel closer to her. And I need you to show me more attention. And I need you to show me that you are interested in me. And Matt, promises to do that. He's like, okay, now I get it. Now I know what I need to do. They start kissing. It took them no time to start kissing in the restaurant. No time at all. They talked for a little bit and they kissed a lot. And then after that, they go take a walk on the beach. So when Matt comes back to the Airbnb, Ameny tells him that she's been doing her research on Anie, that she's been in contact with this guy named Ray. Now, Ray is Anie's ex-boyfriend, and I think she was in a long-term relationship with Anie. I think he was just one of her Johns, to tell you the truth. I think he was probably just one of her Johns, someone who was helping her, supporting her financially in exchange for a little playtime with Anie. That's how I take it. I don't think it was like a real serious relationship, but whatever. I could be wrong. So Ameny tells Matt that she's been in contact with Ray, and how Ameny even has Ray's contact information and how she's even comfortable talking to him is because when they were still in the United States and they were giving or sending money over to Mexico, the money that they were sending to Anie was going through Ray, because when they started the throuple, Anie was still in a relationship with Ray, or Ray was still taking care of her, until Matt and Ameny came into the picture. So when they were sending money to Anie, they were sending it through Ray, because Ray and Anie had a joint bank account. The whole thing sounds very convoluted. It sounds extremely confusing. Something about this doesn't seem right. If any of this is true, if any of this is real and they're not paid actors, something about this just doesn't feel right. It doesn't make any sense. It sounds a little bit nefarious. Like, why are you sending money to your girlfriend through a third party? Why didn't you just send it to her directly? So that's a question that Ameny has. Why did we have to send money through Ray? Why couldn't we just send it directly to Ameny? So Ray is an American, and Ameny had arranged for her and Matt to meet with Ray behind Anie's back. Now, Anie supposedly has no idea that they're going to be meeting with Ray, and this is how Ameny wants it to be. She wants it to be where Anie doesn't know, because she wants Ray to give them the full story, the full lowdown on Anie. So it's the next day, the day that they're supposed to meet with Ray. Matt and Ameny arrive at the restaurant first, and they're sitting there waiting for Ray to show up. So they see this man approaching them, and Ameny doesn't think that that's Ray. But as he gets closer and he's approaching their table, she's realizing this is Ray. And Ameny says in her confessional that she was shocked to see that this was Ray, and that she didn't expect it to be him. In other words, she didn't expect that Anie would be dating a guy that looked like him. He's very average looking, and so I don't know what Ameny was expecting. Okay, because Anie is after money. Okay, she's not after looks. She's after the highest bidder. Like, who's going to help her the most? Who's going to help support her the most? So who cares about what they look like? What do their bank accounts look like? What does his wallet look like? That's what I think Anie's more concerned with. So this guy Ray approaches their table, sits down, and that's where their segment ended. And we're supposed to see how that turns out on the next episode. This whole entire thing it just sounds like Anie was probably using these people to help her out financially. She probably has no intentions of coming to the United States or marrying Matt. She probably is not falling in love with either one of them. She's just falling in love with their money. That's what it seems like to me. But hey, I could be wrong. Let's move on and talk about Shawn and Aaliyah. So I couldn't wait to talk about Shawn and Aaliyah. Shawn and Aaliyah probably interest me the most on this season of 90 Day Fiance. I'm very fascinated by their story. So when we see them, they're making wedding preparations, and Aaliyah tells Shawn that she has been feeling very insecure about herself, and she wants to be the best version of herself for Shawn, but her insecurities are getting in the way of her feeling comfortable with herself, which in turn makes her feel uncomfortable being with Shawn, and it's even affecting their intimacy, because she can't feel comfortable being intimate with him because she's not comfortable with her body. And the reason why she's not comfortable with her body is because she wants to look more feminine. So she tells Shawn that she wants to move forward with her transitioning. She wants to move on to the next step. And Shawn feels like, Aaliyah does a lot of stuff like behind the scenes. Um, he talks about how before he knew about Aaliyah, when he was still dealing with Douglas, he had no idea that Douglas wanted to be Aaliyah. And Douglas just sprung this on him out of nowhere. Like, hey, I feel like I should be a woman. I feel like I'm really a woman. And so that's how I want to live my life. This kind of blindsided Shawn. And so now, with her wanting to move forward with her physical transformation, he feels like he's probably going to be blindsided again, because Aaliyah doesn't give all of the information up front. She doesn't tell Shawn exactly what she wants to do all in one blow. She starts, dropping little bombs here and there. And then all of a sudden he's like, oh, okay, I see where we're going now. And so he kind of doesn't like that. So evidently she's been doing a lot of research on her own about gender transitioning and sex reassignment surgery and so forth. And so she tells Shawn that she wants to move forward. And Aaliyah has already made an appointment with a sex reassignment doctor or therapist. I'm not sure. And Shawn actually volunteers to go with her, because he says, just like you have questions, I got questions too. and I need my questions answered. So the next day they go to the doctor. This is Dr. Yuan. She is a gender affirming specialist. And Shawn said that, Shawn tells the doctor it started off with her telling me that she just wanted a little bit, of a butt enhancement. And I thought, okay, that's what she wants. That's where she's going to get. And, we're done. Next thing I know, she wants to do this. She wants to do that, this, that, and the third. And so, yeah. So they talk about the first thing that they talk about is breast enhancements. And so the doctor lets Aaliyah feel the breast implants to figure out which size she would be more comfortable with. And then Aaliyah asks questions about gender reassignment surgery. So the doctor explains how that would be done. And then Shawn says, well, I don't know how I feel about that because, I'm used to one thing and that's what I like. And she wants to change it and it's going to be something else. And I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about that. So Shawn tells us in his confessional that he fell for a man. So how is he going to feel when every nuance of that person has been completely erased? So I guess he could have lived with Aaliyah without the bottom surgery or without the sex reassignment surgery. He could have lived with that. Um, and not even maybe he could have lived with Aaliyah with he probably would have preferred Aaliyah the way she is now. No boobs and still has all of her genitals intact. That's probably what Shawn would prefer. If you want to do the hair, the nails, the makeup, the dresses, I can get down with it because I know once we get into that bedroom and we close that door and the lights are off, all of that are on. When you take off the wigs and the clothes, I'm seeing what I like. Okay, I'm dealing with what I like, what I'm used to. But now that she wants sex reassignment surgery and wants breast implants, he don't know if he's going to be down with that. He's like, at one point in my life, I was into the boobs. Then now I'm into pecs. I like pecs. And I like male parts. And you want to get rid of all of that. So I don't know what to do now. Now, my question is, how is Aaliyah going to pay for all of this? Does she have like, is she doing, something strange for some change on OF? Does she have like an only, like, how is she going to pay for this? Is she expecting Shawn to pay? Because she talks about all these surgeries that she wants, but I've yet to hear about who's paying for these surgeries. Is it going to be Shawn? Is it going to be her herself? And if it is her herself that's going to be paying for all of this, where is she getting the money? How is this happening? What's going on? I need to know. Let's move on now and let's talk about Motti and Stevie. Okay, first of all, before we get into the nuts and bolts of Motti and Stevie, I had read on one of the blogs that Stevie actually has children, but she doesn't want her children featured on this show. Rightfully so. I totally agree with that. I'm so glad that her children are not a part of this show. So she's got two kids and they live with her. And, we don't see them, obviously, for the reasons that I just stated. So I'm thinking to myself, maybe this is the reason why her father was having all of this hesitation with giving his blessing for them getting married because there's kids involved now. And, Motti's probably like a stranger to them. It would be interesting to know, like, what bond has Motti formed with Stevie's children. I'm wondering why we couldn't get a backstory about the children without showing the children or identifying the children in any way. Maybe it would have been too much of a backlash from the public if we talked about the kids but didn't see the kids. I don't know. But I'm really curious about that now. Like, how is Motti adjusting to stepdaddy role? And how are the kids adjusting to him? But, if we never know how that dynamic worked out, that is fine with me as long as the kids are protected. So it's fine that we don't know anything about that. So Motti is still mad because he thinks that Stevie is bisexual. They're still going through that. And so she offers for them to go take a walk in the park and to talk about it, which was really funny to me that she wanted to talk about it. But then when the topic came up, she really was like trying to hurry up and shut it down. Like she really didn't want to talk about it. So he starts off by saying, I have something to ask you. And she says, I know what you're going to ask. And the answer is no. Are you happy now? Because she knows he's going to ask, are you bisexual? So she's like, I know what you're going to ask. My answer is no. Can we just please move on with it? And he didn't like that. He didn't like that because of course in the beginning of this conversation she was hemming and hawing, really wanting, not wanting to, she kept on saying, you should know me, you should understand me, you should know who I am, you should know, like, all of this stuff. And he's like, girl, I just want to know one thing. And so then she hurries up and says, okay, I know what you're going to ask me. And the answer is no. Are you happy? And he didn't like that. And he was kind of like, wait a minute, we need to talk about this. We need to talk. And she's like, I don't want to talk about it. I already gave you an answer. What's the problem? You have your answer. What is the deal? And so he's like, wait a minute, hold the hell on. And he tries to give this example. What if I had a part of my sexuality that you didn't know about? Like, how would you feel about it? That's what he was trying to get out. How would you feel if I was hiding a part of my own sexuality? And she was like, didn't want to hear it, didn't care about that. She just wanted to move on. She was extremely defensive about this. And I'm beginning to think, well, maybe she is. I don't understand if you're not bisexual, and it's, women appreciate other women. You know, we appreciate how a woman looks, the female form. It's very common. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're sexually attracted to other women. You can admire a woman and not want to hop in the bed with her and not want to be in a romantic relationship with her. And so the fact that she paints nudes or half nudes or whatever the hell she's doing, the fact that she does that doesn't necessarily mean that she's bisexual. I can understand how he would think that and how he wants clarification. And if she's not, why can't she just say, I'm not? I'm not bisexual. No, I'm not. I just appreciate the female form. I think it's beautiful. I love painting it. I love making my customers happy when I do paint them and I give them their paintings. She can, I don't know why she's making it a bigger deal than what it should be. Now, I thought maybe she's sexually fluid and her sexuality is more complex than just either I'm straight or I'm bi. In his world, it's black and white. Either you're this or that. And maybe in her world, it's not that way. Maybe in her world, there's a little gray. And she's probably sexually fluid. And she's like, you know, because she told him, I want you for now, today, right now, I want you and I only want to be with you. And I don't know if that was reassuring for him or if that raised more questions. Like, because, you know, she said, right now, I want you. And maybe he's thinking, okay, but later you might want something else. What he's worried about is if they end up getting married and then she drops a bomb on him and says, I am bisexual or I am sexually fluid, then he's going to be trapped in this marriage with a woman that lives in a way that, or believes in a way that he doesn't agree with at all. So that's what he's worried about. So I don't know why she's making it a big deal. If you're not, just say you're not. And maybe she doesn't understand, or maybe she doesn't know how to explain sexual fluidity to him because he probably lives in, like I said, in a black and white world. And I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Stevie. I don't know if this is just for a storyline because there's nothing else happening with them. We don't have the dynamic of him with her children and how he's, you know, adjusting to that. We don't have that. The father already agreed to let them get married, so we don't have any type of conflict with the father. I don't know. Is it like the lack of a storyline, or is she hiding something from him? That's what I don't understand. What's going on there? But you know, they'll be fine. Moving on to Mark and Mina. I bet y'all were tired of seeing Mina pop up on your television screen, crying Mina, because Mina's been crying for like 2 weeks straight. So Mark is gone for work for a few days, and so Mina and Maria, they're at the house alone. So she decides to go visit some of the neighbors in the neighborhood. So she goes over. They invited her over. It's a group of older women, and they're having, what do they call it? A stitch and bitch party or something like that. They do crocheting, so they call it stitch and bitch. And so she's there, and you know, they do a little bit of small talk, and then they ask her how things are going with Mark. And she tells them that she is not getting along with Mark's family. And one of the issues is that they really want her to sign a prenup. And the women are like, no, no, Mina, no, don't do it. Don't do it. You need to protect yourself, Mina. So they tell her that if you're going to sign a prenup, we don't advise that you do, but if you're going to sign a prenup, make sure that you're protected. And to me, I don't see anything wrong or scary about prenups as long as both parties are giving up something to get something. It cannot be one way. I don't care if you've known the woman for a minute or if you've known her 100 years. If you want to do a prenup, it's not fair for it to go one way. And if you don't want a fair prenup, a compromising prenup, then just don't get married. then choose to not get married. That's also an option, to not get married. You can have all your money to yourself. That's also an option. So if you're going to do a prenup, it should be where both parties have to give up something to get something, not just the poor one has to just be like, okay, whatever I came into the marriage with is what I'm going to leave the marriage with. Because what if they stay married 30 years and she's given up so much for this man and she's done so much for this man? What if his family abandons him when he becomes old and crippled and she's the one changing his diapers and wiping his drool and his daughter is nowhere to be seen because she can't be bothered and it's Mina that's there for him? And then for whatever reason they get divorced, she should leave with nothing after she's given this man 30 years of her life? I don't think that's fair at all. But that's neither here nor there. Okay, my point is a prenup can protect both people and benefit both people. No one's going to be 100% happy once it's signed. That's understood. But it does not and it should not be where the poorer one has to walk away with because in a marriage there's a lot of give and take. He also benefits from marrying Mina. Okay, he also benefits from that. He gets her body, he gets her cooking and cleaning for him. She's caring for his child. She's also doing things for him. So it shouldn't be just, okay, you're walking in broke, you're leaving broke. No matter how much you enhance my life during the marriage, you're walking in broke and you're leaving broke. No. Anyway, so my thing would be she should get what we need to negotiate is not whether I'm going to sign it. What we need to negotiate, how much am I going to get, at each stage of this? Like if I'm married to you for 10 years, what is my settlement? If I'm married to you for 20 years, what is my settlement? I agree that if it's less than 5, I'll walk away with nothing. But it would have to be because you're the one that's leaving the marriage or whatever the situation may be, however it's going to be right now. She's the one leaving the marriage, whatever. I don't know. I don't care. But as long as both are giving up something to get something. So she tells the ladies that I want him to adopt my son. Okay, her son that she's had from a previous relationship, she wants Mark to adopt that child. I knew this was coming. I'm not even sure. I think I mentioned it in one of my earlier reviews of the show. She's probably going to find a way to make sure that he takes care of her son. I knew this was coming. I knew it. I knew it. I knew that Mina was going to find a way for Mark to take care of her son. Not just in a step parent role, but she wants this man to adopt him. Now, if this child has no father, like the father is deceased, or like legitimately he abandoned his son, I don't know. But if there's a father in the picture, no. If I was Mark's attorney, I would advise him, don't do it. This child has a father. This child has a father. The father needs to be the one to make financial arrangements for this child for the future or whatever the hell is going on there. And I think adoption is special because it's something that you have to want to do. The child, this is a child that, is of thinking age. It's not a baby. So the child also has to be a part of this conversation as well. And usually it's beautiful when you see a step parent become an adopted parent. It's a beautiful thing to see that they've developed this bond to the point where the child is like, yes, I want you to adopt me. Yes, I want to adopt you. That's a beautiful moment. In this situation, if you're using adoption as leverage to the prenup, no. I kind of don't agree with that. Unless he has a bond with this child. I don't know how close Mark is to Clayton. I have no idea if he loves Clayton like his own, if Clayton loves him like a father. But if it's none of the above, I don't think it's right for Mina to use adoption as a leverage to the prenuptial agreement. There's other things that she could do for leverage. Leave the child out of it. And then if that at some point, once he comes to the United States and they get to the point where, they have that type of relationship, then yeah, he can adopt the child. But you adopt out of love. You don't adopt because you want your wife to sign a prenup or you want to use the adoption as leverage in a prenup. That is just so ugly and tacky. Greg and Joan. Greg finally got the damn job, y'all. I am so happy. I'm so happy that Greg got the job because now we can move on to other things with Greg and Joan. I'm so sick and tired of them talking about him working and not working and all the other stuff. So he finally got the job. They're very happy. So Joan is going to be staying in the United States. Now, I guess to celebrate, he took her on a trip to New York City. And Greg says in his confessional that she's from the actual jungle. New York is the concrete jungle. I took a tiny bit of offense of him saying that because Kampala, Uganda is nowhere near being a jungle. It's just as advanced and modern as any other city. So stop. Okay, I didn't care for that. Okay, this idea, this notion that everything in Africa is just one big jungle and the people are just running around in loincloths and um chasing lions and riding on hippopotamus. No, it's not like that. Okay, not all of Africa is like that. A good chunk of Africa is very modernized. So when he said she's from the actual jungle, no, she's not. Kampala is just as much of a concrete jungle as New York is. So let's just move on. So they're in New York City. She gets her first taste of New York pizza. She likes it. After that, they walk to their hotel. Before she comes into the room, he makes sure that he romanticizes the room. So he does her whole rose petal thrown everywhere on the floor, on the bed. He lights the candles. He's got the champagne ready. So it's a very romantic, and she was very, very pleased, very, very appreciative of the effort that he took. And she even apologized to him for being so forceful, so heavy-handed with making him get a job. And so she's like, I didn't mean to come across that way. I'm sorry if you felt like I was pushing you too hard or if I was doing too much. And he was like, no, don't worry about it. But that's what he needed, because his mom has been soft on him for a long time, and this is where we're at. So he needed someone to kick him in the butt and make something happen. And so she's super excited that they're finally going to be getting their own place and that they're going to have the means now to get their own place. Moving on to Juan and Jessica. So they go see the wedding venue, and while they're there, we find out that the wedding is going to be taking place like in the dead of winter. And the wedding planner or the owner of the venue is talking about how, hey, don't worry. If it's a blizzard, we'll have umbrellas and blankets. There's going to be a fire pit going. But if push comes to shove, if it's like 60 degrees below, we'll move everybody inside. So Juana's like, I don't know if my family from Colombia is going to be able to handle that kind of weather. So as they're talking about all how this is going to look, Juan is realizing that there's nothing in the wedding that represents his culture, and he brings that up to her. And she's like, well, just it's good, because he said it's so plain and so boring. And she was like, well, there's going to be color, we're going to have flowers, there's going to be colors there. And he's like, no, you don't understand, there's going to be nothing of my culture in the wedding. And she's like, well, what do you want? Just tell me what you want. What is it that you want to put in the damn wedding? So Juan is very stressed out right now because he's not working and stressed out about the damn wedding. And also the cruise ship director or whoever's in charge of hiring has been calling him, wanting him to come back on the ship to work. Now, Jessica does not know this. The next time that we see Juan, he's working out with Herbie, which is Megan's husband. And, Megan, she's that problematic friend. So he's working out with Megan's husband, and they're talking about his job prospects. And Juan tells Herbie, I can't work right now because I don't have my work permit, and I don't get that until after we're married. And then he says, what kind of jobs are available around here? And Herbie says, well, there's a lot of farm work and a lot of ranching jobs, farm jobs and ranching jobs. You'll be outside, all kinds of weather, working out there on the land, so on and so forth. And Juan was like, what about bartending jobs? And Herbie's like, oh, well, yeah, they're not as plentiful as, ranching jobs. They're not that many around here. And so, yeah, Juan is like, that's what I want to do. And so then Juan says, well, the ship has been calling me, wanting me to come back and do another contract on the ship. And he's considering it. He knows that Jessica's not going to like it. So he doesn't know what he's going to do. He says working on the ship is like his thing. Like he feels comfortable at home. That's where he is, he gets his mojo back when he's on the ship. And Jessica, for sure, he says that she's not going to approve of it because, she wants him home to help her with those kids. Moving on to Sarper and Shakina. So Sarper and Shakina, these people here, look, we ain't got no choice but to like Sarper and Shakina because they keep shoving them in our face. So, they're whatever. I can handle. Like I said, Sarper has kind of grown on me. I will never forget him yanking that lollipop out of her mouth, but he has grown on me. So the thing is, they got into this argument, and Sarper has been having a hard time adjusting to life in LA. He likes LA. He's not homesick, but he's the kind of person that's used to doing, he has his habits, his routines that he's used to. And he can't do that in LA. He's so limited because he doesn't drive, he doesn't have any money, so on and so forth. So it's kind of been difficult for him. And he's been taking it out on Shakina. And Shakina has drawn the line. And she's like, I know you're going through something right now. You're trying to get adjusted to life in LA, but look, don't take it out on me. So they're arguing, and he says that whenever they have these arguments, she becomes the Shakina that he doesn't like, which is the one that talks back, speaks her mind, stands her ground, and doesn't back down. And Sarper says that Shakina knows how to, have a good argument, but she doesn't know how to end it, doesn't know how to compromise. And Sarper says that he doesn't want to lose a relationship. He says, I don't want to lose you. I want us to work this out. Every couple fights, but you just don't know how to make up. You don't have any compromising skills. And Sarper says, okay, so Shakina says that she can find a better relationship. She basically tells him, if you're not happy, just leave. Just go find somewhere else. Go find someone else who you can be happy with. I can definitely do better myself. And he was like, huh? What? What'd you say? She's like, I can do better myself as well. I can find somebody better for me. And Sarper's like, you will find nobody better than me because I'm exactly what you want. We're perfect together. We're a perfect match. And she was like, you're not the most perfect man in the world for me. And Sarper says, you wanted a bad boy? I'm a bad boy. And so she kind of goes, I wanted a masculine man, not necessarily a bad boy. I want a masculine man. And Sarper's like, I'm a masculine man. I'm masculine. And therein lies the problem. He has no idea what she wants. Okay. He has no idea what she wants. And so then she's like, you know what? I'm through talking about this. And then she gets up and she leaves. And he's like, no, we're still talking about this. No, come back. And she just keeps on walking up the stairs. I'm pretty sure this is a setup for them to come on the Last Resort season 3. I'm pretty damn sure at some point they're going to end up on the Last Resort because they're going to show us all of these problems. They're still going to get married. Then they're going to show all these problems that they're having, and then they're going to be on the Last Resort. That's all that is. But anywho, whatever. It's fine. What are you going to do? We will never escape Sarper and Shakina. We will never escape them. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video if you like this content. Subscribe to my channel, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.